Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Paradoxic, and welcome to a new reaction series on the channel. This is to Once Upon a Time. And before I get into Once Upon a Time, just a little kind of like explanation as to how and why I'm actually starting this series on the channel. So previously, some of you may know that I was reacting to Marvel's Runaways on the channel, and reaction wise, I got about 2 episodes into into the show, but recording wise, I actually did manage to get like 3 or 4 episodes in. At that point, I kind of, you know, it felt more like, I felt more like I was kind of making myself obligated to react to the show because it was Marvel, and less like it was actually something I actually felt like doing a reaction to, because for one thing, I'm already kind of doing like Agents of Shield, and now WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier when that comes out, all the other kind of future upcoming Marvel shows on the Disney Plus service, I will be reacting to, and happily so. But then getting more and more into Runaways, it just felt more like a show, I would think to myself often during reactions, like sometimes I don't really feel like reacting to this. Sometimes I feel like it's just one of those shows that I'd rather watch in my own time, in my downtime, when I'm actually winding down after a day of recording and editing and all that kind of stuff. So then I actually figured, you know what, I'm not that far into it, even recording wise. I'm not really that far into it, so it doesn't, as much of a completionist as I am, it doesn't really feel like this is something I actually have to put myself through if I don't feel as engaged or feel as enthusiastic with actually putting reactions up on the channel as well. So for those of you who were enjoying it and were looking forward to more, I'm sorry to take it away from you, but I am definitely watching it in my own time too. I think at the point of this recording, I am actually halfway through season 2. I was more than happy to actually binge through it in my downtime, like I said. So it's a really fun show. It's still a really, really fun show, but it is actually something I'm kind of enjoying more, that, like now that I kind of came to like the kind of internal understanding that I don't have to actually turn the camera on and react to it whenever I watch it. So I will also be watching Cloak and Dagger, provided that is on Disney Plus. It hasn't been recommended to me. It hasn't been recommended to me because I'm watching Runaways. But to my knowledge, to my knowledge, and through comments from the first couple of reactions, I am aware that they do kind of cross over, and there is like a sort of chronological order to watch both shows in. So if that is the case, and if Cloak and Dagger is on Disney Plus, which I trust it is, then I will be watching both in that kind of appropriate order. But I will no longer be doing reactions to them. So that may suck. But it's a great show still. If there are any of you out there who haven't watched it for whatever reason, I would highly recommend going to watch it. I think it has kind of flaws here and there, but I think overall it's still like a really, really fun watch. And I think it got dropped, I think, just before season 4 or season 5. I think one of those seasons, it got a season, and then I think it got like dropped by Hulu, because I think it was originally on Hulu, and now with everything being under one roof, it's on Disney Plus. So there's that, but Runaways is definitely fun. But with Runaways now, with me personally having dropped Runaways from my kind of reaction schedule, I was kind of on the lookout for another show to react to, and this caught my eye. And I think I've actually seen it do the rounds in kind of like the reactor community on YouTube, and I've seen that like a bunch of people have done reactions, and it's, from what I've heard, like the reviews I've seen, it seems like a really, really, really fun show. And yeah, that is Once Upon a Time. So I don't know much about this show. I know that it takes classic fairy tale characters and kind of throws them into like the modern day, like the modern-ish day, because it's still like a fairly old show, like at least a decade old. So yeah, but I've heard it's really fun. I've heard it's actually like a great kind of like modernized twist on bringing fairy tale characters together and actually pitting them against like kind of modern day. I mean, I don't exactly know what the full extent of that is. If we're gonna see Prince Charming being arrested for stalking women, or what's gonna happen, but I feel like that could have made a better joke than that. But still, regardless, I don't know like exactly what this entails, but I am eager to find out. And yeah, I think I just kind of googled the show and read through like some of the like less spoilery reviews, and a lot of people had their own series rankings, and they said, "Oh my god, this is the best show ever." It's a really, really cool kind of take on like a fantasy show and a fantasy concept like this. So yeah, I think Once Upon a Time, it used to air on ABC, which to my knowledge is like a Disney owned TV network too. So it being Disney, I'm kind of curious because I mean Disney is already known for making like fairy tale movies. Like it's done like 2-3 different versions of Cinderella. It's done Snow White. It's done Aladdin. It's done like all these different kind of fairy tale kind of characters and all these different stories. So I'm wondering like like just exactly what kind of a take this is gonna be. Like if it's gonna remind me of the movies, or if it's gonna be like a different Disney take on the Grimm fairy tales, like the original ones, or what's going to happen. But I'm curious to find out. I'm very, very curious to find out, and hopefully this is a show that keeps me going, and hopefully it's a show that you guys enjoy too. Hopefully you guys have seen it. If you have, let me know what your thoughts are, keeping them spoiler free, of course. But yeah, I'm eager to get into it. So this is the pilot episode. And I think this is much, much older, and I think this one actually, I mean, it has like a very limited number of seasons. It stopped airing now, obviously, but I don't know if this was cancelled or if this was dropped or if they actually brought it to like a swift close and they actually found an appropriate ending for it. But either way, I am intrigued to see what it's all about and what happens. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got in terms of pre-episode kind of theorization and speculation. So yeah, on to the reaction. So this, as always, as with all the reactions on the channel, this will be the highlight reel of reactions. If you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, the full unedited reaction to this episode, and pretty much all the future episodes coming, those reactions will be over on Patreon, which the link will be in the description and in the comments, so you can go check that over there. Those reactions will be just as much fun. But yeah, on to Once Upon a Time, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. Let's go. There was an enchanted forest filled with all the classic characters we know, or think we know. Okay. One day they found themselves trapped in a place where all their happy endings were stolen. Our world. You know what? That sounds so accurate. Our world is the world that just refuses to allow happy endings to happen. Okay. So this is going to be like a really relatable take on fairy tales then. Oh, are those the Seven Dwarves? Yeah, the Seven Dwarves. Oh no, this is Snow White. Oh, wait, so is this... I don't know who Snow White's significant dude was. Oh, the evil witch.
Sorry I'm late.
Oh, the evil witch. Damn, she looks good.
I shall destroy your happiness if it is the last thing I do.
Oh.
You take credit cards?
Where to, Chief?
How old is he? Like, what, 10? Is that not Bruce Wayne from Batwoman? The new Bruce Wayne?
It is the internet.
I think it might be.
You, Emma, are by far the sexiest, friendless orphan that I have ever met.
Okay, your turn. No, wait,
Okay.
guess.
Well, makes sense. Batman will be into orphans.
You are handsome.
Hell do you know about family, huh?
Dick move. There we go. Yeah.
My name's Henry. I'm
Henry.
your son.
Henry Swan.
10 years ago, did you give up a baby for adoption?
Ah. Okay, so he is 10 then. He is 10. Your biological son just shows up on the front doorstep. On your birthday. Happy birthday.
Storybrooke, Maine.
Storybrooke.
Storybrooke. Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Storybrooke. Storybook.
Let's get you back to Storybrooke.
I dig it. I dig it. I dig it.
They're not fairy tales. They're true. Every story in this book actually happened.
Of course it did.
Use your superpower. See if I'm lying.
I mean, is that technically wrong? Are fairy tales not just, fantasized versions of actual tales, of actual battles and
Exactly what makes it true.
drama?
You know more than anyone.
If he knows your name, he will have power over you. Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, I was about to say it's Rumpelstiltskin. Okay.
Question for you.
Yeah, the guy that makes stuff, and then once he knows your name, he has power over you.
It's gonna cost you something in return.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is a waste of time.
What do you want?
Her firstborn.
The name of your
unborn child.
Oh, the name
Absolutely
of the name of the
Teal.
firstborn.
What do you know?
All of our prisons will be time,
Oh, transported to the future.
and we will be trapped.
Oh, time will
Someplace
stop.
horrible. Get the child to safety and on its 28th birthday. The child will return. The child will find you.
28.
And the final battle will begin.
Is that Emma? Is she? I think she just had her birthday, right? And she looks, you know, in her 20s. Is that Emma Swan? Is that Emma Swan returning?
Emma.
Emma Swan, she's returning. She's returning with her son, Henry. Yeah, okay. So this all happened then? This is all actually real life then?
Is everything all right?
I'm fine, Archie.
Archie.
Who's
Is that a Dalmatian? Wait, is that from Dalmatians? Is that the dude from I don't recognize the dude, but I recognize the dog. That's a Dalmatian.
You know where he lives? Maybe he's just trying to help you.
He's the one who needs help because it doesn't know.
That he's a fairy tale character.
None of them do. They don't
Ah.
know who they are.
Wait, I don't remember who they are.
Convenient. All right.
That's gotta be Tinkerbell, right? That's totally Tinkerbell. Was Tinkerbell blue or was she green? I think she was green.
Me and my boy, we can do
So,
it.
is that Pinocchio?
Work. We all must have faith.
I'm sorry, this is just me calling out random characters as I see them.
However,
Yeah.
Henry?
Oh, that's the mother.
Are you
It's the
okay?
evil queen.
Where have you been?
His mom is the evil queen.
I'll just go and check on the lad, make sure he's alright.
And he's from 50 Shades. So many faces in this in this show.
Glass of the best apple cider you ever tasted.
Oh hell no. Don't don't drink no apple cider. Drink good old grape juice, wine. Drink that. Yeah. A wolf! Oh damn it. Damn wolves. God damn wolves.
What is it?
Is it coming? Is she
coming?
She's already coming? Well then maybe then they send the baby through. Yeah, they have to keep the baby safe, so they send the baby through.
It wasn't drunk. There was a wolf standing in the middle of the road.
A wolf. Right.
A big bad one.
this is for them, not us.
It's Snow White!
They're loyal creatures.
Snow White is his teacher. Snow White is Henry's teacher.
They will always find you.
You don't know anything about this, do you?
No, unfortunately not.
He stole her credit card.
I should never have given him that book. Believing in even the possibility of a happy ending is a very powerful thing.
You know where he is, don't you?
You might want to check his castle.
He has a castle? Dude's 10 and he has a castle. And Emma's getting ready to make her debut. Yeah.
It only takes one.
Yeah, they send the baby through. They send the baby through.
We have to give her her best chance.
So it's come full circle then. Her parents gave her away, hoping that she would find them. And then Emma gave Henry away, and then Henry eventually found his way back to her. Granted, it took him a lot less time, but he still eventually found his way back. Yeah. Oh, no, protect that baby with your life, literally. Oh. That's just a graze, you can handle that. That's just a graze. Oh. Oh. Oh, R.I.P. Prince Charming. Rip to Prince Charming.
He wanted to give me my best chance.
Just like her parents before her. Yeah.
The wardrobe. When you went through the wardrobe, you appeared in the street. Your parents are trying to save you.
She literally landed on the street, on the concrete pavement.
Sure they were.
That's a little harsh. I don't think True Love's Kiss is gonna work this time. I'm sorry, Snowy. No, I don't think it's gonna work this time.
In a few moments, you.
Oh, I like the red. I like the red in her hair.
Alone
Yeah.
loved him.
So it takes them all. So it even takes the queen then. It even rebrands the queen. I mean, it goes without saying she looks so much nicer without the evil queen getup. But the evil queen getup is so great, so great.
Do you know what a closed adoption is?
She doesn't get him back.
It's what you asked for.
She doesn't get him
You
back.
have no legal right to Henry, and you're going to be held to that. I will destroy you if it is the last thing I do. Goodbye, Miss Swan.
I take it back. She is the evil queen. She is pretty much the evil queen. That's also a very evil queen thing to do, raising the grandchild of Snow White and Prince Charming. That's a very evil queen thing to do. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? No, nothing like that yet. We'll get there in time. We'll get there. Oh damn! It's Prince Charming. He survived. He lived, and he's a patient of some kind. He's a hospital patient.
I'm sorry that my heart attack interfered with.
Is this Red Riding Hood?
Way down the eastern seaboard.
Excuse me?
Is that Red Riding Hood?
Would you like a room?
And her granny?
Would you like a forest?
Is that Red Riding Hood?
Normally there's an upgrade fee for the square, but as rent is due,
That's
I'll
Red
waive it.
Riding Hood.
Square is
Oh my
fine.
god.
Emma.
Emma.
What a lovely name.
It's Rumpelstiltskin. That's Rumpelstiltskin.
You enjoy your stay.
Oh, does he know? Has he maintained his memory? No, he can't know. I think no one has maintained their memory, but has he though? He has a very, very sneaky vibe about him already. Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Gold.
Mr.
owns this place.
Gold.
The inn? No,
The town?
the town.
Here. Rumpelstiltskin owns the town. So he owns the town, but the evil queen is the mayor. Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's the end of the episode. Okay. Okay. You know what, right? That was some fun stuff. That was really, really fun. That was actually pretty fun. So yeah, that was fun. That was a very, very fun pilot. A very fun introduction to what the show is, what the story is, and yeah, I kind of like that. Like the way they've modernized these characters is actually a pretty fun concept, and I'm already loving the characters so far. I'm already loving the way they've done the characters, and I think especially that kind of timeline synchronization, showing what stuff is like in the present day versus like going back to like the actual original setting of the fairy tales to like them. Them not being too afraid to go into that classic cheesy tone that the fairy tales have, compared to then switching back to the modern day when you have Emma as an adult trying to make it in life, and then her son shows up all of a sudden, and she's kind of having to get used to all this new stuff. Like that stuff was very quick paced too. That stuff like her introduction as Emma Swan, and having to deal with that guy that the bail bonds guy as well. Like that stuff was very fast paced, and then her returning home, and then her getting her son. I feel like they could have if there was one thing I feel like they could have done better, maybe actually introduced Emma as more of her own person, as more of her own character before actually bringing Henry. Because I think as soon as Henry comes in, that's where the rest of the story picks up. So I think it would have been cooler to actually be given some kind of evidence that Emma is actually living her own semi-successful life. Before actually bringing her into what this show is really about. But other than that, I think it was a great intro. It was really great. And yeah, so Emma Swan, she is the daughter of Snow White. I believe that's Snow White. I believe that is Snow White because there were 7 dwarves and she was in a glass case, and her true love, I think. But then Sleeping Beauty, is that not also? I mean, Sleeping Beauty and Snow White are 2 different characters, right? Because Snow White is literally a part of the story, Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, and then Sleeping Beauty is Sleeping Beauty. I don't know what Sleeping Beauty's name is, but Sleeping Beauty is Sleeping Beauty. So I think, and yeah, and Prince Charming too. Is he not Cinderella's? One true love or something? I don't know if because it all takes place in the same universe, all the characters crisscross and there's a crossover of sorts. I mean, to my knowledge, that never happened in the original Disney movies or in the original stories. I think the closest we got was maybe in Wreck-It Ralph, they had all those princesses as video games, and that main character who was like a little girl got to actually converse with them. And I haven't seen Wreck-It Ralph 2, so there's that. And I also haven't seen Maleficent. I have not seen the first or the second Maleficent movie, so I feel like that disclaimer should be put out there. So I don't know if the story of the evil queen in this, because it was Snow White. I think to my knowledge, I think Maleficent is to do with the story of the evil queen from Snow White. I think to do with the poisoned apple thing, because that's also what Snow White is. Like she eats the poisoned apple, then she dies or falls into a coma, and then true love's kiss is all the only thing that can actually wake her up. So yeah, but apparently Prince Charming and Snow White got together and they had a baby. So yeah, so that is Emma Swan. That is Emma Swan. So I think I love that build up too. That like that kind of timeline synchronization that shows like as the story is unfolding, leading up to the fairy tale point of view to the curse incoming, and then switching back to the present day, that shows, you know, like that promise being fulfilled by Rumpelstiltskin of like, you know, oh, your daughter, if you let her go now, she will, you know, she will come back to you in time and she'll actually help free us from everything going on here. So that kind of timeline synchronization was really, really cool. But yeah, so we had Rumpelstiltskin too. I think the actor for Rumpelstiltskin so far seems really good. He seems really creepy, and I think Rumpelstiltskin as well. I think I'm very vaguely familiar with his story. Like he actually kept on doing this whole deal thing where he actually agreed to make. I don't know if it was actually Snow White in his story, but he actually agreed to actually help the woman complete her tasks on different under like a set. Like he gave her like a set number of favors he would accomplish for her. And then on the final, I think after the final task, he's like, it was like something about like, you know, if you can guess my name, then you're free. But if you can't, and like if you can't, then I get your then he gets the firstborn child. I think in this one it's just the name. But I think in the actual story it's like, oh, if she couldn't if she couldn't guess his name after 3 tries, then he would actually get her firstborn child. But yeah. So with this one, it was different. It was it was the name of the firstborn child. So yeah, so Rumpelstiltskin was in this, and yeah, the actor. I think the actor's face seems familiar-ish. Like I mean, on the one hand, he seems like he just has that kind of face where you see him in different places. He's by. I mean, to me, he doesn't really feel like a huge name. But I think like, you know, whatever roles he is given, he plays them well enough to actually make you like remember his face and remember his kind of presence and stuff. So yeah, so even Rumpelstiltskin back then looked very Rumpelstiltskin-y. But in the present day, he owns the town. He is Mr. Gold. That is very, very, very neatly done. That is very nicely done. But in the present day, he is Mr. Gold, and he owns the town. He owns Storybrooke, Maine. Storybrooke. Also very nicely done. But yeah, so Emma Swan turned 28, and I think because she's in the story, because Henry says that she's in the story, he knows how her story is supposed to go. He knows that she's supposed to return to Storybrooke by the time she's like when she actually turns 28. So then he actually stole his teacher's credit card and actually found her, and then traveled all that way to actually try and get her, and then actually take her back to his hometown as well. So yeah. So yeah, I feel like Henry and Emma are gonna get along fairly well in this, in the sense that, you know, Henry's gonna be the one with the intel. Henry's gonna be the one who knows, who he lives in this he lives in this town. This town that's frozen in time. This town where I think, so I'm curious, right, as to whether because I was wondering, because like the town is frozen in time. So I'm wondering like if like the Evil Queen's curse actually pushed all of the characters forward in time to like a couple of, because I mean, fairy tales are set like centuries back. Right, so I think I was wondering, like, you know, like did they actually push like all the characters forward in time, like because fairy tales themselves, like, you know, like obviously there is that common claim that fairy tales aren't real, they're just made up stories. But then on the other hand, I think I very, very vaguely remember reading somewhere that fairy tales are actually, they did happen, but just not in the way that even the original even the very original fairy tales, like the way they're written, that's not the way the stories actually happen. So like, you know, people have taken actual stories of people and battles and different like dramas that happened, and then they've kind of fantasized them into these different fairy tales. So, you know, I mean, even the original kind of fairy tale, even the very original fairy tale writings by the Brothers Grimm, for example, those ones are really, really dark. Like, you know, like in the Disney stuff, you have the sisters just unable to fit their feet inside the glass slipper no matter what they try. But then in the original fairy tale, they actually end up cutting off bits of their own feet to try and literally shove it in, which is, well, you guys would likely just do it. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then I think the even darker one was the, I don't know which one. I think it was Sleeping was it Sleeping Beauty? I don't know. I think it must have been Sleeping Beauty, right? I think, yeah. like, she wasn't naturally woken up. She was literally raped, and then she woke up with a bunch of kids around her. So yeah, her one true love didn't actually, wait for her to wake up or wake her up through true love's kiss. Actually, took a much darker turn, and then she woke up. I think that's how it goes. I think I'm not too sure. I remember reading that one somewhere. Yeah. Or like hearing about it from someone like someone actually explaining just how dark the original tales of those characters went, and then she actually woke up with a bunch of kids around her. So again, it's like like fairy tales themselves, like like I think I remember reading that somewhere that they did happen, but just not in like just not even in the way that like the original fairy tales actually capture them. Which I don't know if that means it could be darker, or maybe it's like maybe more drama added for effect or for shock factor or whatever. But either way, it kind of poses the interesting question, like, are fairy tales really as fake as you kind of imagine them to be, or did they actually happen in like a very, very different way? Like like stuff like Mulan. I feel like I've heard that Mulan actually definitely happened. Mulan was a story of a real life woman who actually dressed up as a man and went to battle. But then even that one took like a darker ending, or like took like a much more mature ending. Like she didn't really get a happy ending, but it wasn't like a terrible ending, or like something along those lines. So like certain stories did actually happen to real people, but names were changed, stories were kind of dramatized or fantasized for further effect, and like for the point of telling a story that captures your audience, the actual truth was manipulated in some way to make sure it got carried down the generations and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it kind of begs that question too. So I think having it like this too, like put like not just pushing the characters in. So I think Henry said that like not only are the characters not only have the characters been brought to life, then that begs the question, like what does that mean? Like what does that mean for the characters? And like could it have been like like in this universe we have the stories, but then in like an alternate universe they actually exist. So then I don't know, that kind of thing, like that's like kind of my main kind of query about that point of the story. Like, were they pushed forward in time? Were they brought into it from another universe, or were they literally lifted off the book and then brought into like a pre-existing town in Maine? I don't know, but either way, I think I love what they did with the characters. So they made the adoptive mother is Regina. Her name is Regina. So yeah, I mean, she doesn't really look as much of an evil queen. I think her more evil colors don't really show until the very end. When when Emma actually starts questioning more about Henry, and actually starts to kind of express some kind of interest or enthusiasm about him. She's like, okay, let's hold up, right? You gave birth to him, and then you gave him away. He's been my son for 10 years. That's how it's gonna stay. Like her actually. Not just her making her point, but just her kind of her emphasizing the fact that she will not let Emma anywhere near Henry or Henry's life, because apparently because she also, I think she I can't remember the term she used, but she said that Emma actually gave him away for like a permanent adoption. So like in like legally she just has no right to him or his life, so she couldn't take him back even if she wanted to. So yeah, and I mean that's kind of like hinting towards what Emma's situation was when she actually gave birth to him. Like she clearly just was not ready to be a mother. So I mean yeah, like if she's 28 now and then she gave birth to him 10 years ago, yeah, 80 or so when she was 18. So I mean yeah, 18 is pretty damn young to be having a baby. That's pretty damn young to be having a baby. So I think her giving him away at that age, like I think hopefully no logical person would actually blame her, but then we don't really know. I mean, we don't know what the circumstances of her birth were. I mean, she did say she prefers not to talk about the dad, so I think maybe it could have been like a unplanned pregnancy, or like an unmarried kind of hookup that turned into a pregnancy or something. So, and then as soon as the dad found out, he probably kind of ditched the picture and stuff, and then she definitely was not in a place that she was stable enough to actually raise a child. So then the most logical thing to do would actually be to give the child up for adoption. But then I think she might have been so scared that she kind of went ahead for the kind of strongest kind of route of adoption possible, which was actually giving him away for permanent adoption, so that she would never have that legal right. So I mean that one may have been a stretch, but I think I'm gonna wait and see and make sure that she actually had her reasons for going that far and giving him away like to that extent. But yeah, no, but I mean even then Regina just can like it would have been enough to say, like, it's a little bit like, oh, too little, too late. You gave him away back then. It's you can't take him back down. Like, I mean, just it's too little, too late. You gave him away back then. You can't take him back now. And also, like, like her saying, like, she, like, you may be his mother, but I'm his mum. Like, she's the one who nursed every kind of cold and fever. She's the one who controlled every tantrum. She's the one who tucked him in every night at bed and actually raised him as a mum would. Like that kind of stuff. Also appropriate, but then her, like, threatening to destroy her if she ever tries to take Henry back again is just a bit of a stretch. And I think that's again that's where I feel like that's where the evil queen demeanor actually starts to come in. That's where the evil queen demeanor actually starts to shine through and make itself known. So yeah, and also like her actually, I think the evil. So I think So I mean, would the curse affect her too? Because I think she was one who implanted the curse. It was her intention to actually curse Snow White and Prince Charming, and also all the other kind of characters in that kind of world, in that kingdom. But then the curse seems to have affected her too. So I mean, we don't know for sure. I mean, because I don't know, because she didn't really seem to have much reaction to the story stuff. I mean, she seemed to insist that the story stuff was just stories. It's not anything real. It's not like insisting that Henry needs a dose of reality and stuff. So I can't then tell if she literally is just one of those mums who's insistent on her kids staying away from fantasy and make believe and actually being mature and all that stuff, or if she really is like the evil queen deep down and she wants to actually prevent the truth from coming out, prevent the truth about the town and its citizens and her son actually and stuff from actually coming out. Because I think that would make sense, and especially Rumpel as well. Like Mr. Gold, he has such an eerie demeanor, like such a classic Rumpelstiltskin-esque demeanor, but just like a generally eerie kind of demeanor, especially for someone who owns the whole town. So he owns the town, but then Regina is the mayor. Regina is the mayor of the town. So that just has partnership written all over it. Like Rumpelstiltskin, he is a very, very self-serving kind of character. He will not hesitate to double cross you if he gets the opportunity. So like Rumpelstiltskin and the evil queen working together definitely sounds like some kind of a long time deal. So yeah, and even his reaction to meeting Emma too, like, because he knows Emma is the name of Prince Charming and Snow White's firstborn, so he knows that. So he's obviously very, very eager and delighted. It's like 28 years later to actually meet their grown-up daughter and everything, to know she's back in Storybrooke, she's back with all these other characters and stuff. He seems like he's just been waiting for this his whole life, and he finally meets her, and then he takes his time leaving the inn and stuff like that. So that just it just tickles me in all the wrong ways. It tickles me in all the wrong ways. But yeah, but the evil queen has a great look, honestly. Like the red in her hair at the end, like the bun she has, the dress, the crown, everything. The evil queen alone is a great look. But yeah, but Regina herself, she definitely has that kind of single mother mayor kind of look about her, and like that whole kind of thing. Like she's working constantly, and she kind of doesn't really maybe have a lot of time for Henry, and she tries her best with him, but then of course all of a sudden the biological mother actually steps in and makes herself known, so then that kind of threatens her kind of stance and like her status as the kind of strong mother as well. So yeah, I don't know, but it's fun. It's definitely fun. And I think I won't lie, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how those kinds of paths might cross again, and how that kind of how those future interactions are going to go. Like the evil queen, and also like the evil queen adopting the grandchild of Prince Charming and Snow White as well. That is such an evil queen thing too. Because I think I haven't seen Maleficent, but I don't know if there was anything about like Maleficent actually. I mean, I don't even know if that's actually the same character. If Maleficent is the evil queen, I think as soon as I saw the evil queen, I was just like reminded of Maleficent, and then I think Maleficent is connected to the story of Snow White. So I don't know. I mean, that should be on Disney Plus, so I think I should probably check that out at some point too. But yeah, I don't know. I do not know. But I mean, either way, like the evil queen adopting the grandchild of Snow White and Prince Charming is such an evil queen thing to do. Okay, fine. You won't give me your daughter? That's fine. That's cool. I'll just adopt your grandson and raise him as my own. That is such an evil queen kind of move, and honestly, it's kind of, it sounds wrong, but it's an evil move I'm kind of digging, because it's so mischievous and so sinister and so manipulative, that she's she's just like, even in like an amnesiac state, or even like a partially amnesiac state, she's willing to wait, you know, all those years just to pick up like the child that, you know, Snow White and Prince Charming's daughter kind of gives away. So yeah, and now she's and then now it explains why she's all the more defensive. She's had him for 10 years. She's not about to give him up now. She's not about to give him up to the child of her enemies, of her mortal enemies. She's not about to give him up, and definitely not to that person as well. Like, you know, like Emma is the child that she couldn't. Emma is the child that she couldn't get. So now she's. I don't think she's had to settle for the grandson. But I think she's gone so far as to actually wait even longer to get Emma's son, and to get Emma's son too. So she's now all the more willing to actually fight to keep him, and to keep him under her grips and everything. And he even talks about how she doesn't love him and she's evil deep down. So maybe he actually, you know, he knows that Emma is in the story. So maybe he actually knows that Regina is in the story too, and that she's the evil queen, and that maybe her plan, after discovering that she lost Emma, her plan maybe was to actually, you know, just snatch up Henry as soon as she could, and then actually raise him under her wing too. So I don't know, but yeah, I am definitely looking forward to seeing what Emma and Regina's kind of interactions in the future are like. They seem definitely like maybe I'm kind of anticipating like a, oh, we got off on the wrong foot kind of scene at some point in like the next couple of episodes. So I'm kind of intrigued by maybe like a friendship starting up, only for Emma to find out that, you know, Regina is secretly the evil queen who tried to kill her parents. But either way, that should be a fun relationship to see, so can't wait for that. And on to the other familiar faces. So Henry's teacher is Mary Blanchard, Ms. Mary Blanchard, who is Snow White. She's Snow White with much shorter hair, with much cuter, shorter kind of parted hair and everything. So she's definitely changed her look, and she's his teacher, and she is also the one who gave him the Once Upon a Time book. Now, whether that was subconsciously subliminal or not, we don't know yet. Like, you know, because it's fairly kind of, you know, on the nose and sneaky that, you know, his grandmother should be the one to give him a book full of all these fairy tales and full of all these stories that she is in and his mother is in. So that's fairly on the nose, but she also generally is just that she's like a kindergarten or like a first grade teacher or something. So she just generally deals with those kinds of kids who are young and hopeful and optimistic. And Henry, he's already been described as the loner, as kind of like the social outcast. He doesn't really have any friends. He doesn't really have, you know, many people to be with. So in order to give him hope and to give him a taste of like a lighter, more hopeful kind of reality, she gave him a book full of all these stories and these characters, and then he, you know, started to realize the truth behind it all, that, you know, everyone in his town was a part of the story, and that his mother, who was out of town, was also part of the story. So yeah, I think understandably Regina has a problem with her, like, you know, giving her son a book that contains the truth to everyone's actual, you know, misdeeds and misdoings, and the truth to everyone's history. So yeah, but she seems cool. She having his teacher and everything. So she is gonna be around for a while now. So she's Snow White, and she's a volunteer at the hospital too. She actually does volunteer. So she's just like, she's like, from what I remember, Snow White was a good-hearted person. She was a kind-hearted person and a kind soul. So, by extension, Ms. Blanchard is also a good person, and she also volunteers at the local hospital, and she does what she can to help people and to give them hope. So that's fun. And now the sheriff, right? Okay, let me move on to the sheriff first. Okay, the sheriff. Okay, so for one thing, I don't know who the actor is, but he's played by the same guy who was in 50 Shades, the main guy in 50 Shades. He plays the sheriff too, and in this one he actually has like a British accent, so that's fun. But yeah, so he's the sheriff. So I don't specifically remember a sheriff in any fairy tales, not that I'm overly aware of. But I was thinking, right, because of how he reacted to a wolf, like, you know, like a wolf was what stopped Emma in the road and caused her to swerve off the road and into the Storybrooke stand. So like a wolf was in the middle of the road and caused her to do that. So like a wolf, obviously the wolf in the fairy tales, like, you know, like the big bad wolf that sneaks into Red Riding Hood's inn and pretends to be her grandma, and then there's a woodcutter who has to actually come down and kill the wolf and then save Red Riding Hood and her grandma. So, because the grandma hasn't, I think the grandma hasn't been eaten. I don't think the grandma was eaten. I think, was she eaten originally, or was she just in the closet? I don't know, I can't remember, but the woodcutter had to come down. So I mean, because of the sheriff's reaction to hearing that there was a wolf in the road, and that's what made her swerve off, I was like, he seems, fairly kind of surprised / familiar with that. So going, could he be the woodcutter, like a woodcutter turned sheriff? Like, I mean, you'd think a woodcutter would become. Because like, I guess it's not illogical to look for some kind of connection to what their jobs are now in this world compared to what their roles were like in the actual fairy tale world. So the evil queen still runs the town, she still runs the kingdom. Rumpelstiltskin still has a shit ton of money in his pocket because he owns the town and everything. And his name is literally Mr. Gold. So there's that. Snow White is a teacher and she's a volunteer. She's a kind-hearted person. She helps where she can. Then we have the woodcutter, who is literally. The woodcutter, you might expect him to be like a carpenter maybe, or like an upholsterer. I think upholsterer. No, like a carpenter, or like someone who works in construction or something. Like actually builds tree houses or some shit. But no, he's I think. He might be the woodcutter. I'm not completely sure, but I think because of his reaction to there being a wolf in the road, I'm kind of assuming that he is. But he is the sheriff. I think. Is there a sheriff? Could he be Woody? Woody isn't Woody isn't a fairy tale character. He's a Disney Pixar original character. He's never been a fairy tale character. But hey, if they want to bring Toy Story into this, then I would not judge. If they want to branch out like further down the line and want to bring an astronaut into this and bring a sheriff and his partner and like a Bo Peep or something, I would not judge. It's Disney; they can do whatever the fuck they want. But yeah, I don't know if this is actually if the sheriff is actually Woody or if it's meant to be the woodcutter. But we have him. We have the woodcutter. Apparently his shrink, which I know is slang for therapist, or at least just like a different word for therapist, Henry's therapist, is Jiminy Cricket. I'm not too familiar with the character of Jiminy Cricket. I've seen classics. I've seen classic Disney, but I haven't seen that classic Disney. So Jiminy Cricket, the name, obviously it being Disney, is very familiar, but I didn't recognize him. I thought he was the guy from 101 Dalmatians because he had a Dalmatian. He had the dog. The dog I recognized right off from a mile away. That is a Dalmatian. White with black polka dots. That is a dog I would recognize any day of the week. So, that I recognized immediately. That's a Dalmatian. But then because the guy was walking him, I thought it would be like the guy from the Dalmatians movie who actually had the Dalmatian. But no, it's actually Jiminy Cricket. So I was wondering, I want to say it's the dad, or at least I want to say it's the guy who had the Dalmatians, or at least one of them. But he doesn't look like him. He looks nothing like him. So it's it's Jiminy Cricket. So. That's fun. So apparently his other name is Archie. His real world name is Archie. So that's cool. So he's Jiminy Cricket. He is the therapist. But yeah, and then we had the patient, the hospital patient that Mary left the flower for. That's Prince Charming. So that kind of makes sense because he did kind of die in the fairy tale world, and then as soon as the curse hit, I think it would make sense that he may have been on the verge of death because there is that whole thing of when you die your brain is still active for 7 minutes, I think. So if he wasn't still fully dead but mostly dead, or at least clinically dead, then the curse could have still kind of revived him in some way, but then actually modernized him and actually just turned him into a hospital patient. So I think he must be maybe on some kind of life support or in a coma or something. He could be in a coma, so that could be him. So that's Prince Charming just on his deathbed of sorts. So his wife still visits him every day and just unknowingly. I think that's also like another kind of sad part to this. Like they think they're all just kind of real life people without any kind of recollection of these histories, but then how they see each other is altered too. So instead of seeing him as her husband, or instead of seeing him as the love of her life, she sees him as this hospital patient that she just feels inclined and just has enough kindness in her heart to visit every day and give flowers. And she does the same thing for the other patients too. She actually goes to see them. I was wondering if we're going to see someone else, if we're going to see Geppetto in hospital or something after that. But no, I think Geppetto, we did see him somewhere. I can't remember where we saw him, but we did see him somewhere. I don't know if it was towards the end in the inn that the granny ran. I don't know if it was in the inn, but we did see him. No, Geppetto. We saw him in the police station. We saw Geppetto and one of the Seven Dwarves in the police station. Like Geppetto, he talked about never having a kid. He said him and his wife always wanted kids, but it was never meant to be. So there's no Pinocchio in this. Then there's apparently no Pinocchio in this universe. Because I think even in the fairy tale world, like Pinocchio was a real boy. Like we actually moved far enough through that story that he was a real boy, because he did start off as a wooden figure that Geppetto built for himself because he didn't have a son, and then magic turned him into an actual real boy. So apparently even in the real world, like, Pinocchio just doesn't exist. He just isn't, a real boy. Or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if, like, he doesn't exist, because I feel like if Pinocchio did exist, then he would be the one friend that Henry would have. He would be, like, him being like a character in the story. He would be the one friend that he would have. But then that also raises the question of, like, what about the other kids in Mary's classroom? Like, are they, like... Because then, this, you know what this gives me, right? This gives me WandaVision vibes of, like, the Evil Queen's curse transporting them all into the future or into, like, another world, but then they take over a pre-existing town, and time is frozen, everyone's lost their memories, they've all been given new identities and everything. This is the fairy tale version of WandaVision. This is the fairy tale version of WandaVision. That's basically what this is. Yeah, and she has to come back, and Emma is basically Monica Rambeau and everything. She has to come back and investigate this crap, and stuff. So yeah, and then you got Henry, who's basically Jimmy Woo. Just all we're waiting for is Darcy. All we're waiting for is our fairy tale version of Darcy Lewis. So yeah, but it's basically what it is. This town has probably been. That might be the only difference. Like the town is less taken over, but it's also just like fairy tale Storybrooke turned into like the modern day, and the modern day like is probably still in the same location too, maybe, minus the water around the town, minus the ocean lakeside thing around the town. But it's just been transformed into the modern day, and then been given new identities and new lives and no memory of anything before Storybrooke. Or maybe like an entirely new history too. Maybe like an entirely new history that the kind of replaces, that overwrites the fairy tale history. But yeah, huge WandaVision vibes. So yeah, Geppetto, back to Geppetto. Geppetto never had a kid, so he just doesn't have Pinocchio anymore. Doesn't have Pinocchio, and then one of the Seven Dwarves is a criminal. Apparently, he just got arrested and then let go the next day. So that was fun. And then yeah, the inn, Granny's Inn. I don't know if it was called exactly that, but it was basically an inn. You could actually buy like a room to stay at for like a limited period of time. So that was cool. And yeah, it's run by the Granny. It's run by the Granny and Red Riding Hood. Red Riding Hood is there. So that is a twist. They run an inn where you can stay. You can stay there. So that's cool. Like they just kind of run a place that offers shelter for those who need it for a hopefully a reasonable price. But yeah, I think as soon as it said Granny, I was like, okay, this Granny has to. I think the first Granny that popped into my head that was the Granny from Red Riding Hood. Like, oh, she has an inn. Like, it's got to be that Granny. But I was like, is Red Riding Hood gonna be here? Is Red Riding Hood a part of this deal? And she did. She showed up and she was great, and just had like a red kind of scarf around her head at the end too, so that was great. So Red Riding Hood and the Granny. I mean, I don't know what their actual names are. Like, they likely have their own real life names, or like just real life names too. Because I think that's also a thing. Like, they've been given different identities, but I think they've also kind of been able to live in this for like all these years. It's been all these years. It's been like 28 years. It's been 28 years that they've been living. So it's like it's much less like WandaVision. WandaVision is like somewhat like a less duration and a lot more kind of harmful as well. Like I think because it's like with WandaVision, it's like like no one outside of Westview knows about Westview or remembers it, and people who go in never come out unless Wanda kicks them out. But with this one, it's like you can. I feel like normal people could still go into Storybrooke and still go out and just come in and go out whenever they want, and they just kind of don't really suspect much of a thing. Like no one's been taken, no one's been kidnapped. It's just because I think the only people literally in Storybrooke who are different are the fairy tale characters. Like everyone else who already maybe live, like if it is a town that's been taken over, everyone else who already lives there maybe had their memories altered so that they're aware of new people coming in. but they are not inclined or maybe not obligated to actually stay in the town. They're not obligated to actually play along with anything else. But it's just like their memories have just been altered in like a less harmful way. So yeah, not to say then that the evil queen is less harmful than Wanda is, but still, again, it's just WandaVision vibes. I can't help it. It's WandaVision vibes coming in. But yeah, but I think, and also disclaimer, because I was saying, if I am getting any of this wrong, if there are details that I will discover later on, then by all means let me discover them by myself. But if there are details I'm misinterpreting or things that you think I could actually understand better, like a little better, then obviously in like a spoiler-free way, let me know in the comments and help me understand. Maybe if it's details I'm getting wrong now, but I could probably pick up on them later on or experience them in my own way watching the show, then by all means leave me to it. I'll probably pick it up. And if I still don't, then obviously help me out and actually just leave it in the comments. But yeah, it's great stuff. So Red Riding Hood, and her granny Rumpel, and yeah, so all those characters, I mean, it's only the pilot, and we've already been given a handful of characters. It's only the pilot episode, and we've already been given all these characters, and I think these ones are pretty much the classics. These are the very, very classics ones, like Snow White, Red Riding Hood, and Rumpel, and probably the Woodcutter, and all these other kind of characters. So yeah, it's fun. It's very, very fun. And yeah, I love the parallels. I love the parallels between the different characters and their decisions. I mean, Prince Charming and Snow White, they get Rumpelstiltskin told them that if they gave away their daughter, if they actually gave their daughter away, then I mean, I think he mentioned that, but he very certainly he mentioned that their daughter would come back to them in 28 years' time on her 28th birthday. She would return to them. So I think if they kind of understood. I think to me it became more obvious later on that because this was Emma, it's likely that they actually if they send their daughter away, then she grows up to be Emma Swan, and then her son actually comes back to actually bring her back in because he knows it's a part of the story. That's how the story goes. You were given away by your parents, so then you actually grew up and then came back when you were meant to. So that kind of pattern, I think. Yeah, that kind of differentiation too. It's like a difference in like the times and the motivations and also the people too. Snow White and Prince Charming were convinced that if they gave their daughter away, then in time they just had to wait. But in time, their daughter would come back to them and actually help solve this mystery and sort out what was going on in the town. But with Emma, it's her experience of being given away as well. I mean, her experience just shocks me. She literally, she was put into a wardrobe, which she then disappeared from, but then she literally landed in the side of the road. That visual to me is not the safest of visuals. She literally lands on the sidewalk, on the pavement. That's stone cold, hard concrete that I mean, granted, she was wrapped in a blanket, so it wasn't like her kind of, cold, body just kind of, being left on the sidewalk, but she was still left she was still left there on the sidewalk, which is a very, very dangerous place. It's self-explanatory, but it's a very dangerous place for a baby to be. So it's you can't help but wonder, is that how the wardrobe was designed, just to plop her on the side of the street or something? But nevertheless, that experience alone kind of scarred her pretty much for life, and she was in and out. I think she said that even when she actually entered the system, she was with a family until she was 3. At which point the couple that adopted her actually had a kid of their own, which then begs the question, what happened there? Did they not know that they could have a baby, or did they were they not ready to have one? But then because if it's the case of they weren't ready to have a baby of their own, but so then they actually adopted, but then once they actually were ready to have a kid of their own, they then had the kid and then sent Emma back. Because then that just seems unnecessarily hard on Emma. She is a kid who needs a family, who needs parents or a parent that will look after her. So if you take her in, you're giving her that kind of hope and that kind of, you're essentially giving her the hope and promise of a healthy and full life. I think, I would hope that no one, that no couple adopts a kid under the premise or under the kind of misleading, or at least not even telling them that we're only going to have you for a few years to see how we like it, and then we're just going to have our own kid and then send you right back. Because that is just completely unhealthy and completely just harmful notions for a kid to live under. So then, but yeah, but that also just seems kind of unnecessarily kind of harmful to her too. Like she just like all of a sudden her parents are able to have a kid of their own, or they're ready to have a kid of their own. So as soon as they do that, they just decide that she's no longer useful to them, or like just now all of a sudden, like now that they know they can raise a kid, they have their own kid. So then they just get rid of the one that they had for 3 years. Like it just seems horrible, and especially like a 3-year-old being given away to, like a 3-year-old being given away. You're raised under a roof with loving parents for 3 years, and then all of a sudden a new kid comes along and you're just kind of kicked back into the system. Like you just, again, I mean, you can see why Emma herself has trouble having connections and having like has no family other than that, and why she also wouldn't really trust the system much anymore. I think it's also kind of interesting to wonder whether or not she feels like that was karma. I mean, no, that wouldn't be karma. No, the timeline was running backward in my head. Ignore me. Just bleep that out or something. But no, it wasn't karma. But I mean, that kind of parallel too. Like she wasn't ready to have a kid, so she then had to give hers away. But then her parents gave her away in the hopes and with the optimism that she would return to them one day and actually help save the town. So yeah, I think it's definitely like a more dramatic parallel and a more dramatic twist on what the motivations and what the situations are. Like she was like left on her own after she had the kid, and she was completely unprepared to actually raise one. So then she had no choice but to actually give the kid away in order to better herself and to mature herself and to reach a point where she could actually take care of herself first. But yeah, and I think it just kind of shows like the reality of that world, like the reality of this world. Like, you know, if you're not ready to have a kid, then you really just have kind of not much choice but to give it away, if you can't take precautions beforehand. So yeah, that stuff was dramatic. And like an interesting kind of reflection of what the two worlds are like. And it's like that is like our world. The real world is their worst nightmare. It's like you got all these different things, all these different obstacles you to crash, and like all these different people that you, like, many of whom you likely won't get along with. All these different real world problems, besides from poisoned apples and, you know, comas and stuff like that. So I mean, both can still exist. Poisoned apples and comas can still very much exist in our world, but it's a much darker version. Like, you know, True Love's Kiss is unlikely to wake you up from a coma. But it's a great story nonetheless. It's a very, very great story nonetheless, and I cannot wait to see how it progresses from here. But yeah, that is that. But yeah, that's all I have. That was Once Upon a Time. Season 1, Episode 1. So let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if you're looking forward to seeing more reactions. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more reactions on this show. That was a great pilot. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this show carries on and what more the show has in store. And I think, especially that, I mean, this is also a take on fairy tales that I've yet to see. And I think already, again, like the WandaVision vibes already, like the reminders, the kind of familiarity with WandaVision is already kind of getting me, like, it is already keeping me hooked. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this first season as a whole has in store, because this has 7 seasons. It has 7 seasons, so, you know, like hopefully it has a run like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has 7 seasons so far. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been going great, so hopefully this has a similar strength and run to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it keeps me hooked in a similar way. So we'll see exactly what this show is like. But yeah, that is it. So let me know what you guys thought and what your theories are, and who your favorite fairy tale characters are, and what your favorite kind of alterations of these characters are so far, and who you're looking forward to seeing. And as always, keep the comments spoiler free for everyone's sake. I mean, if you're watching this reaction, then hopefully you've already watched the show, or at least this episode. So for my sake, keep the comments spoiler free. But yeah, that is it. So that was Once Upon a Time, Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot. So thank you guys, as always, so much for being here and for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, then salt and burn that like button. Comment on what you thought of the episode and what you think is coming up next time on Once Upon a Time. Once again, if you guys want to catch the full-length reaction, that one will be over on Patreon, so you can go check that out over there. And yeah, that is it. So I will see you guys next time.